It's a terrible, horrific accident, and I imagine it's probably painful to bring it back up. So why go through this?
It was a very difficult crash, but really the only way that we're ever going to see change is if we stand up and do something. So that was what we decided to do. We didn't want to grieve privately.
Zach?
I mean, we got upset, we got angry, we wanted to see change because it needed to change, and if we had to be the ones to stand up, then we're willing to do that.
What do you think, what's your best case scenario for what you would like to see happen in this next legislative session?
Best case is to see the laws that the governor's supporting be passed to make it easier to prosecute the cases via telephonic and video conference interviews, to make stricter penalties, and just generally to see what's been proposed to actually go through.
Aileen, what's your best case scenario?
I want to see both the DWI law change and justice brought to our criminal case, definitely. I don't want an either or scenario. So as far as the DWI law, something that's actually going to be enforced.
I imagine it must anger you to know that so many, there have been so many instances here in New Mexico of
Yeah.
people who have multiple DWIs who are
Yeah.
still on the road.
Right. It's out of control. It's an epidemic. It really is.
And not just in New Mexico, but worldwide it's an epidemic. And so we're trying to help fix the laws that are already in place and allow enforcement of them, and to strengthen them as well. Our big thrust currently is for the interlock system, where if a car is, or if you're arrested for DWI, they seize your car, and then they don't release it, provided you're convicted, until you have an interlock system put on it. Then it'll be released to the interlock company, and then it's released to the driver. So, because right now, interlocks are required on your own recognizance, which means it doesn't happen.
Right.
Have you been a bit overwhelmed by the response that you've gotten?
Definitely. I'm getting tons of emails in from people who lost their kids recently, and then both 20, 30 years ago asking for help. It's humbling.
And it's not losing your child is not something you get over. So we have every day we get stories coming in of people who lost their children due to DWI crashes, and we want to see change, and we're humbled and overwhelmed by the support that people have been giving us.
And you're willing to testify if that needs to be, if you're called before a committee?
Absolutely.
I volunteer to testify. I was told in the meeting with the governor today that there's certain Congress people that are standing in the way of any stricter laws of any sort, and first thing I volunteered, I said, let me sit down with them. I want them to tell me no to my face, because it is easy to say no to a piece of paper, but it's much harder to say no to a person. And I have paper. We can print out every story we've received, and we could make a very depressing book out of it. I want to be able to testify, to be able to tell our story, and then the stories that have been related to us about why New Mexico needs to change.
Are you a politically active couple?
Not until this happened.
We vote.
Yeah.
I've never been particularly, I've never worked for any campaigns or anything like that, but we certainly do vote.
So this isn't a Republican-Democrat thing. It's not because
No.
there's a Republican governor or
You know,
whatever.
the DWI epidemic really does, it transcends, your race, your gender, your political party affiliations.
And to be completely honest, I am a registered Democrat. I fully support the governor. In everything that she's trying to do for us and with us, I support her to the end of the earth. So this is by no means a political agenda for us or for anyone else.
The man who was involved in the accident,
It's a crash. It's not an accident.
Right, exactly. I was going to say that. He was in the country illegally, from what I understand.
He entered the country legally. He remained illegally, from what we've been led to believe. But this isn't an immigration issue.
Right.
This is about people being in the country, whether legally or illegally, drinking and driving, and that's what we're speaking to.